And we gotta keep it hype. Keep it hype. Represent it for life. You know how we do it. Woo! Hey. Jacksonville Jags. We don't mean to brag, but when we on the field, we got it in the bag. Jacksonville Jags. You know how we ball. Best believe it. Got the people screaming out, Duval. Jacksonville Jags. We don't mean to brag, but when we on the field, we got it in the bag. Jacksonville Jags. You know how we ball. Best believe it. Got the people screaming out, Duval. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars. Too much for your crew to handle.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
And what is going on, everybody? Welcome into Club Jaguar. It's Wednesday night at 8:30, the best place to be on Wednesdays. And man, I wish I was here under better circumstances. The Jaguars completely blew the game last week, or just 3 days ago, against the Miami Dolphins. Wound is still fresh for me. I'm still pretty pissed off about what happened in this game. But we are going to break it all down here, as well as get into a Browns preview, because luckily we're only 0-1. There's 16 games left. We have a lot of time to really get back up after getting punched down. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But real quick, shout out to BetUS. This, of course, all these shows are powered by BetUS. And look, guys, not is it a 125% deposit bonus anymore, 150% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with the code YouTube150. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and bring in my co-host. We have Jordan Belugo. What's up, Jordan?
Yo, feels like, you said it's only been 3 days. Feels like it's been like a month or two. It's just crazy. Like all the preparation, and then 3 hours of game time, and then all the kind of like fallout from week one. And it's just going to be a roller coaster all year long. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Hopefully it's not too much of a roller coaster. Hopefully we can go 8-3 and then win. Yeah. Okay. Win this time around. So next up, we'll go ahead and bring in Jason. What's up, Jason?
Not happy.
You're not happy?
Not happy at all.
What happened?
Not happy to be in the club?
I'm happy to be in the club. I'm glad I got in the club, but I'm not happy about the state of the club right now. All right. I'm not happy.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and, I guess, give a quick little recap. I mean, the Jaguars, of course, last Sunday went to Miami to play the Dolphins
and lost. They blew the game. They blew the game is what happened.
The Jaguars were in a situation where, it all comes down to a few things. The Jaguars had a chance with about 2 or 3 minutes left in the third quarter to go up 24-7. Okay, 24-7. I strongly do not believe the Dolphins are coming back from 24-7. It's just too little time. The Jaguars were just playing too good. And then ETN fumbled into the end zone, and it resulted in a touchback. All right, you're still up 10. It's fine. Just, play some good defense. Next play, 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill, and all of a sudden it's a 3-point game. We're kind of sitting here like, what happened? And then the Jaguars completely folded. They melted down. Even the Dolphins missed a kick, and we still couldn't win that game. It was just disgusting. So, we'll go to Jason first, because Jason, I feel like is fiery. He's pissed off. He wants to get some stuff off of his chest. So, Jason, give us some of your thoughts after this game on Sunday.
All right, I'm going to try not to yell. I yell a lot. I'm going to try to keep this like temperament. I'm going to try to stay composed here. My issue is that the Dolphins were not better than us. They have skill on their team. We know the skilled players. We talk about them all the time. We know they're good. They were not better than us. We found ourselves in a situation where our team had to nut up in the second half and play physical and lean on veteran leadership. And we apparently, that was like the theme of the offseason, was to get more physical and to bring in veteran leadership so that when we do get leads, we don't blow them. And it turned into a microcosm of the collapse of all of last year in one single game. And we spent so much time, all three of us, talking about in the offseason. We've done hours and hours and hours of YouTube podcasts. Jordan writes. I think Dalton made a little too lazy for that. But Jordan
I don't write anymore. I'm lazy.
Jordan writes. And so spent all these hours talking about how we're going to be more physical and so that we can run the ball when we need to, and that we'll have this veteran leadership that we can lean on to clutch up and finish games. And we just watched ourselves blow a very important game. Week 1, we could have had a win at Miami, and we blew it. And for those reasons, I am still not happy.
Yeah, let's hear from you, Jordan.
Yeah, I think you saw a very good football team. Grip a little too tight. Starting at the top with the head coach, who is also in charge of the offense. That wheel got real tight after that fumble and that touchdown. And I think that, huge mistake going forward at your own 32, even though it didn't cost you. That was desperate. And running the ball the entire fourth quarter until the very end was a mistake. Obviously, Doug Peterson, when I asked him, he told me he thought that the offensive line was starting to feel it, starting to dominate the game. And, obviously he was wrong in that regard. They were not starting to feel it. They were not starting to dominate the game. They had a balanced game plan through 3 quarters. They were running the ball. They were passing the ball. They were passing it more than they were running it, but they were keeping it balanced. And you had a lot of under center. You had a lot of play action. You had verticality in the offense. They were throwing the ball down the field. Went into a shell in the final quarter. And in my opinion, it cost them the game because they are not a team that can say, we're going to run the ball and you can't stop us. If they are predictable, they're not going anywhere. They're not good enough.
No. And it's just, it drives me nuts because, like Jason said, it's a microcosm of the 2023 season where like the Jaguars for 42 minutes were by far the best team on the field. We were about to rout the Dolphins. Okay. We were about to make them go down 24-7 and then look at themselves and everybody. And Jacksonville was going to be the big storyline. Like Jacksonville dominates Miami. Are we sleeping on the Jacksonville Jaguars? But oftentimes it's not even about who's the best team in the first 3 quarters. It's about who's the best team in the last quarter. And at the very end of the game, the Jaguars could not get first downs. The Jaguars could not stop the Dolphins. And a big reason why the Jaguars could not stop the Dolphins is because the Jaguars offense couldn't get any kind of rhythm going and they couldn't run the ball. And all of a sudden they decided, you know what? We don't want Trevor Lawrence to throw the ball anymore. It was almost like Doug Peterson morphed into Doug Marrone, and then Doug Marrone thought he still had Blake Bortles. Okay. It was like, hey, let's just sit on this lead. Let's not go for it. And it shocks me because that is not who Doug Peterson is. Doug Peterson's always been a guy that even when he's winning, he's passing the ball in the fourth quarter. He's going for it on 4th down in the fourth quarter. Maybe not at his own 30, but he's going for it at midfield when he's up. But it was concerning. It was concerning, and I don't understand where this where this came from. And of course, there's this whole thing about who's calling plays. And the first half, I thought the play calling was great. It was balanced. We know our offensive line isn't great, but we were running the ball. Tank Bigsby had himself a really good game. We were blocking good enough to where Trevor Lawrence was able to make some passes. In the second half, everything changed. Like, why did we stop passing? The third
quarter was still play calling, in my opinion. It really changed after the 14-point swing in 2 plays.
It's concerning to me. It's concerning to me because, like, while I put, the person who probably, I don't know the person, but the play, like Travis Etienne's fumble, that was the big game changer. Like, if that doesn't happen, we probably win the game. Also, Christian Kirk had 2 terrible 3rd down drops. Like, dude, like, are they perfect passes? Maybe not. I mean, I know one of them wasn't a perfect pass.
The first one was.
Yeah, the first one was. And then the next one, like, Trevor Lawrence is getting hit, okay? He threw a good enough ball. If Trevor Lawrence is going to make a play, Christian Kirk, you got to make a play. You only get a certain amount of possessions in each of these games. Then boom, twice you don't move the chains, and you had to get the punt the ball off. So it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, man. And I mean, like, what's y'all's biggest concern going forward from this point?
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead.
Okay. My biggest concern with this football team is, can the offensive line, because, okay, I believe they can manage without Tyson Campbell. I don't like that. Like, you want Tyson Campbell out there, but can they figure it out with Ryan Nielsen managing that defense? Probably. He's done this before. Like last year, the Falcons, their plan at corner went to crap real quick with some injuries. And so, he's had to piece this together before at corner. You don't love it. You want Tyson Campbell out there because he is your best corner. But I'm okay with that. I think that Doug Peterson will rebound from that bad quarter. And I think that everything's pretty solid. I think Travis Etienne and Christian Kirk will rebound. Like, these are good football players who have played well for the Jaguars. My biggest concern is, can the offensive line get out of its own way? And I know Jason talked about it all summer, but they took turns making egregious errors throughout the fourth quarter. And again, I do put a lot of the onus of that on Doug for thinking that they could be this dominant group up front for a full quarter instead of being balanced. But even when they were just so predictable at the end of the game, which again makes me feel like the offensive line can perform better than they did. Every single play in the fourth quarter, the Miami Dolphins knew what the Jaguars were trying to do because it was predictable. They were like, we're going to run the ball unless it's third down and we have to throw it. So yeah, that makes it difficult for the offensive line to execute when the defense is ready for you. But still, the offensive line was not good enough. It wasn't. I put it first on coaching, which I think will rebound. Second on the offensive line, which it's a little concerning. Anton Harrison's worst game of his career. He's got to rebound in a big way. I think he will.
Okay. Again, I'm going to try to stay composed here, boys. I went back and watched the game, and what I didn't notice live that I noticed rewatching was I don't necessarily think Andre Sisco played that well at free safety.
No.
Gave up the huge play to Tyreek Hill, and I understand that Tyreek Hill is one of the probably one or two best receivers in the league. But it wasn't the
Certainly
fact
the
that
most explosive.
It wasn't the fact that Tyreek. It wasn't the fact that Sisco got beat with speed. It's like when you go back and watch it, his eyes weren't in the right place.
He was late.
He was late. He was late on his assignments. And not only did we all saw the huge gain, but there was a play in the first half where Tua overthrew a wide open Tyreek Hill that probably would have scored a touchdown on a little corner route. And it was Sisco again late on that play. So
Darby got beat pretty bad on that too.
So I'm a little worried about the free safety position. Now, I think I was wrong about Darnell Savage and Antonio Johnson because I spent all summer talking about how I was worried about them, but they were able to switch back and forth between box safety and strong safety in the nickel position and who was playing cover nickel and who was playing box safety. And that was impressive to me. Savage did a decent job covering, so I thought that was okay. I'm a little concerned about Sisco at the free safety spot, especially now when we have Tyson Campbell out and Ryan Nielsen ran a shit ton of cover one, almost the entire game, manned up everywhere with one high free. Either it was a robber or he brought a blitz, but one high middle of the field safety, Andre Sisco, and then manned everywhere else. If I'm the Browns, I'm going max protect. I'm putting two receivers in motion or two receivers in routes, and I'm getting deep down the field and making Andre Sisco read his keys correctly and take the right angles, because not only were his eyes in the wrong spot on that explosive play to Tyreek Hill, he took the wrong turn and he took the wrong angle to make the tackle. So I'm a little concerned there. A little secondary concern is Anton Harrison didn't look that good. And I think we all went into the season thinking we're good here. Let's make sure we're good on the other four spots. And now we're oh crap, maybe Anton Harrison. I mean, it wasn't like he was going against Myles Garrett. You know what I mean? So it's
Jalen Phillips is a freak show. I can't believe how well he played.
I know he's good, but every team's got a Jalen Phillips. I mean, you know what I mean? You go through our roster and there's a lot of good DNs on our schedule, right?
He played dudes like that last year all year long and did just fine. I know exactly what you're saying.
And
he's gone against Jalen Phillips as before. I know that's what you're saying.
Seeing Calais Campbell and seeing it wasn't just that first drive where Calais Campbell guessed the bootleg correctly. There was some other plays where the defense guessed our play correctly. And that kind of goes to maybe we're showing too many tendencies. So those are probably my three worries going into it. It is only 1 week, but we got to clean that up.
Yeah. And I think those individual players will rebound that we talked about, because those are guys that have played well for the Jaguars for a while. even, Etienne, Kirk, Harrison, Cisco. Antonio Johnson was missing tackles. He missed like
He
4 tackles.
He got worse as the game went on. He started the game good, but as the game went on, he was starting to miss. He played every snap, so he probably got fatigued. But
I think that's another factor that you don't want to make an excuse about. But I think that whole team was dog tired in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, yep.
And I know for me, like one big concern I have for myself is like, there's this whole narrative out there about like Trevor Lawrence that somehow like he's like not a good quarterback and like, oh, like Tua outdueled Trevor Lawrence. And it's like we have to start helping out Trevor Lawrence because if anybody actually watches that game, and most people don't, like if you were to tell, like I didn't watch most of these games, but I mean I see it on Red Zone and everything, but like if you watch that full game, Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback than Tua. Okay, I did not come out of that game impressed at all with Tua, but yet there's people out there, kind of having this narrative. But we have to. You can go ahead and restart kind of like what we had in 2023 with the drop reel. You can. There's a collection of drops that you could have added to there from this game, and I just get concerned that like we are not allowing Trevor Lawrence to flourish with however this team is set up. Like we have to have guys make plays, and we have to be able to call games to be able to allow him to be his best self. Because man, like, and the good thing is like, we're fresh off this game. Like the Jaguars, most of the game played well, but like, we're not in like moral victory season anymore. Like if this was 2022, I feel a little bit better about it because we're coming off a 3-14 team. We're trying to learn how to win. We should already know how to win. Okay, we came off back-to-back winning seasons, and like at this point, it's like I don't want to win 8 or 9 games. I want to win 10, 11, 12 plus. Like I want to, double up the amount of wins I do losses, and drop in a game like this week 1 where the Texans could be a very good team. They could very well go 13-4. Okay. And in that case, then there's a very good chance that we are competing against the Miami Dolphins to get a playoff spot. And right now, the Dolphins own that tiebreaker. Okay. The Dolphins have that head-to-head victory against the Jaguars. So if at the end of the season, both teams are 10-7 and they're trying to get that number 7 seed, the Dolphins are going to be able to get that spot instead of the Jaguars. So I for the first time, I'm a little bit just worried about, I guess, Doug Peterson, just because like I just thought he was so much better than like what he was. But it's just like, is he learning from his past errors? And I know Jordan, you asked some questions. Do you are you at all nervous about Doug Peterson? And did you did your opinion kind of change on him at all after this game?
No, I think he's a good offensive coach that made a bad decision in the fourth quarter to try to run the ball.
Okay.
I think he's the same guy. I think that the first 3 quarters was like masterful offense. It was beautiful.
And that touchdown throw from Trevor to Brian Thomas Jr. was masterful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins' new defensive coordinator, was calling a good game, and it didn't matter. It did not matter until Doug Peterson stopped throwing the football. And so, I just think that he thought the offensive line was feeling it, or he just wanted to get out of there with a W. But you cannot go into a shell up 3 points against the Miami Dolphins in Miami. There's just no reasonable explanation for that, in my opinion. I don't think you can say, we can just sit on the ball for 15 minutes against the Dolphins because we're up 3 points.
We've all watched football our entire lives. Has sitting on the ball ever worked? Unless you're up 40.
No,
and unless you have a dominant offensive line. Absolutely dominant.
Right.
And even then, probably not going to work.
With this team, look, if you want to roll out this offensive line, that's fine. I'm all for it. We're not going to be a top 5, maybe not top 10 unit, but if we can just be average, that's good enough. In no situation are we going to just be able to run through people, honestly. We have to always play a balanced attack. We can't sit here. We we have to still be creative in the fourth quarter. We can't just keep running the ball and, on 3rd and 1, we run it. We didn't get the yard, but we're going to run it again. Now we're going to run a sweep to the weak side of the field. Like it was.
And both of those plays were like, you're trying to get cute, and other teams execute those plays. The Dolphins executed those plays. The Jaguars are not a team that should be getting cute necessarily at this point.
And can we also
They're
talk
just not
about how
getting it
like,
done.
and can we also talk about how on 4th and 1, when the clock was running out in the 3rd quarter, why didn't we at least try to go out there and hard count them? Like, at least, I don't know. For me, I'm rushing a line, even if I'm not going to snap it, at least try it. It was just a weird how they kind of went up to the line and just let it die. I don't know. That's another thing.
Yeah,
coaching
it
thing.
felt like that was. Yeah, it felt weird. You felt like they were about to try to get them to jump, and then they just took too much time.
Yeah,
it was bizarre. Like, why are you lining up?
Yeah,
why are you even lining up in that situation?
And just one little thing about the Trevor versus Tua thing. Tua threw the ball 15 more times than Trevor. So, I mean, of course, his stats are going to look better. A lot of they do a lot of the horizontal running game with A-chain to on the swing passes. So, I mean, like you said, like even the throw to Brian Thomas Jr. that got called a defensive pass interference, like it was a long play progression. So it's hard to like blame the offensive line. There was a dude in Trevor Lawrence's face, and he did throw off his back foot. If he was able to step into the throw, I think he would have been able to throw Brian Thomas Jr. into a catch into the end zone. But he was on his back foot, was able to still get it there. And so
even with that throw, like Jalen Ramsey's only chance was to interfere.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, the eyeball test, Trevor Lawrence. I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence. I'm more worried about how you're going to pay a guy $240 million and then give him 21 passes.
Yeah.
And he was 4th in adjusted EPA per play among quarterbacks this week. He was 4th in the NFL. Tua was 17th. So if you really
EPA?
evaluate each quarterback's play, it's clear that Trevor Lawrence was more impactful on that football game.
What is EPA?
EPA is expected points over average.
Yeah.
And then adjusted EPA. They adjust it for pass protection, receiver drops, dropped interceptions, luck on interceptable passes, fumble recoveries, and interception returns, given credit for expected yards. It's expected yards average after the catch only, not accounting for defenses faced. So it's basically expected points. And Trevor Lawrence was 4th in his dropbacks among quarterbacks per play. And Tua Tagovailoa was 17th. So you had Sam Darnold at 1, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield, all the guys that were balling out. And Trevor Lawrence's numbers aren't up there with those other guys because, like Jason said, he only threw the ball 21 times.
And they say, oh, he had the ball last and it resulted in a 4th and 25. It's like, dude, like we like the Jaguars coaching staff and the roster around them, they need to do a better job about like making sure the NFL knows how good this guy is. I don't know. Like, I know for me, it's just annoying for me because like Trevor gets paid and people are like, oh my God, overpaid. He's generational, but he hasn't lived up to that label. It's like, dude, like this guy is really, really good. And, he's got to work on some stuff, right? Like, I know, maybe he could have like moved a little bit different in the pocket this game or, whatever you want to call it. But man, like I don't have any complaints about Trevor this game. It's just, dude, we got to start, giving him, because we got to get him in that winning record column as a starting NFL quarterback. And it sucks that, the 3-14 season is kind of being, on there, but he's a great quarterback. And I think we're all super, super lucky to have him. Quick comment, quick super chat. The Garf says the good news, roster looks fantastic. Do not look at the offensive line. Bad news. The team's identity is obvious. Everyone, even Balky, but the offensive coaches. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Thank you for the super chat, man. Also, Tay with a $5 super chat says, BTJ was cooking. the highest paid quarterback, Jalen Ramsey. And yeah, let's get to that real quick. Actually, let's just get to like the positives in general. When we look forward, of course, the Jaguars are 0-1. There's plenty to complain about, and I know, in these losses, we're gonna complain a lot more about losses than we are gonna find the silver lining. And even if we win some games and we win it like an ugly way, we might even find a lot more negatives and positives, because that's just where we are as a team right now. Like, we're expecting to be good. So give us some silver lining. Give us some things that you think are positive about this team going forward. We'll start with you, Jordan.
I think Trent Baalke cooked in the 2024 NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Thomas Jr. had a great day. Of course, he wasn't targeted in the second half. Just unforgivable. Mason Smith, he's really close.
He had that
his
big
swim
holding
move
call.
And
he
they
drew
called
two
Yeah.
two holding calls against him.
Yeah.
He's very strong, very explosive off the ball. He has the swim move down. He has really improved his pad level. He looked really good. I think if he develops, one more move off of the swim, like a club or a swipe, he's going to be wrecking shop. And he already was doing really good things and playing stout football. So that was awesome. Jarian Jones looked really good. Cam Little looked really good. Miles Cole in limited action looked good. So it's early, but this 2024 draft class looks really, really good already. And Brian Thomas Jr., there's nothing he can't do physically in terms of what you would ask a wide receiver to do in this system. He can do it all. He can run every route. He can run past you. He can go up and get the football. He's looking confident. He's talking the talk. He's walking the walk a little bit. And then when he gets back into the locker room, he's still that same, low-key type of guy. But when he's out there on game day, you better believe he's going to let you know when he beats you.
Yeah, and Brian Thomas Jr. essentially caused both of the Jaguars touchdowns. I mean, one of them, PI against Jalen Ramsey, set the Jaguars up at the 1 where ETN ran it in. And then, of course, he caught that beautiful touchdown pass in the back of the end zone by Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, I like it. How about you, Jason? What's some of your silver lining?
I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the easy one because he probably played, great for a rookie. And this is from someone that wanted them to address offensive line in the first round. And I can say, that was the right pick. Brian Thomas Jr. was the right pick. I'm almost kind of now a little concerned of why did we trade down? If we were if I don't know, maybe I'm just if he's this good, we should have probably just taken him at our pick. But whatever, we'll give Baalke credit for that.
Could say the same thing about Anton last year too.
That's true. That's true.
Xavier Worthy also had a pretty good game, so I think there are some good wide receivers on the board, regardless.
And with Adunze out now, you never know. So is this top receiver, but I think the defense as a whole under Nielsen, I thought was good. I liked kind of how they attacked the ball. They did what, and I'm stealing. I had Travis Holmes on my show last night, and I'm kind of stealing this from him a little bit. But he pointed out that Nielsen wanted the Dolphins to throw it behind line of scrimmage to A-Chain and Hill, and then us come up and make tackles. Now, whether we did that or not, we did in the first half. Second half, we struggled a little bit, but I thought we did well. I thought Jarian Jones was placed in a good position. If you would have told me that Jarian Jones was going to cover Tyreek Hill on a wheel route in the first half of his first game, I would have been like, he's going to get burnt. But he stayed stride for stride. He stayed on his hip, and he created an incompletion. That's great. Again, I think Savage is in a great spot to make some plays. I thought Devin Lloyd played well. He in the first half, he beat a block with speed, which is what he kind of does, and made a tackle in the backfield on A-Chain. So I think Lloyd is kind of improving a little bit as far as what I thought. So I think the defense as a whole looks good. The defensive line was rotating well and kind of seemed fresh, leg-y there. So I'm excited that the defense is going to be, I think, better than they were last year. I know Jordan and Dalton, you guys all said that, but it's just good to see because, I'm a little cautiously optimistic about it. It looks like this change is going to be good. I'm excited to see Monteric Brown in this press man because I think that's where he's better at than he was in the zone scheme in Caldwell last year. So Brian Thomas Jr., the defense, I think some of the guys we have on the team are kind of in their role now a little bit better. And obviously Travon Walker, another guy. So those were bright spots for me. And the biggest thing of it all is yes, we lost. Yes, we blew the game, but like we should have won. And I'll take that over being soundly defeated by the other team, right? So if the Dolphins would have came out and just like soundly beat us, so we're up the whole game, we'd feel probably worse than we do now, even though we feel bad now. So I'm okay with that. Let's move on to the Browns. Let's go to 1-1 and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I know for myself, I mean, there are plenty of positives. There really are. I mean, look, we're less Travis Etienne runs it in and the guy doesn't make a good play on it. Holland, I think his name was, then we're good. We win the game. Like Christian Kirk had a couple bad drops, but each of these guys, like Etienne and Christian Kirk, I expect both of them to bounce back. Like these are good players that had a couple of bad plays and they'll be fine. Like over the course of their career, we've seen good things out of them. Like I don't think Travis Etienne fumbled at all in the 2022 season, so it's really not him. He's not like a fumbling machine. And I think it's as simple as like the coaching staff can control so many things. Like it wasn't like we were just straight up like they were just straight up better than us. Like if you just call a little bit differently the game, then you win that thing. So look, the Jaguars went toe to toe with a Super Bowl, or not Super Bowl, but like a playoff team. And the Jaguars, the Jaguars should have won. They should have won. They didn't win. No moral victories in football. We're 0-1 and they're 1-0. And AFC South, everybody's looking up to the Texans right now. 3 0-1 teams with the Texans up there at 4-0.
And we didn't even mention Tank Bigsby.
Yeah,
we didn't even mention Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, there's
who
some
looked
good,
like the better back on the team.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about that toward the end. Like we'll get into the Brown stuff, and I want to talk a little bit more about Tyson Campbell. We could talk about the with Tank Bigsby's performance. So we'll get into that like kind of I guess a little bit toward the end. A couple super chats here. We have Garrett. He says, "I just got in here, so I don't know what y'all have talked about so far, but I'm not worried about this team." Yeah, that's kind of the gist. I mean, look, we're all ranting. We're unhappy with how it happened, but we're not skies falling right now. So luckily you guys can all rewatch the stream. It all gets over here and on YouTube. And also I got to keep, there's a Spotify link down below. If I remember, I'll upload it there. I'm just not really that good at it, but if you're lucky, it'll be on Spotify. Also shout out to Steven. He says, Doug seemed to come across as defensive in the press conference at times. Plus he stood by the choice to run so much in the second half. Thoughts? Well, Jordan asked a question. So
I'll let Jordan answer it because I got to go piss. So I'll be right back. So Jordan, you answer, and I'm sure I'll disagree. So,
I mean, he was defensive on Monday. I think he was clearly pretty agitated about what had happened. I don't know if there was conversations in the building before that or whatever happened, but he pretty much snapped it at Gary. After Gary asked about them being conservative, he said, "I don't know what game you were watching," and blah, blah, blah. And then I asked him, 8 of the 9 plays after the Travis Etienne fumble were run plays. Was that by design? And then he didn't really like that question either. So, yeah, he was definitely a little bit on edge, but he came back out there today and talked to the media, and I thought he was more his normal self, more just kind of dialed in and ready to go. And I think that he's able to put that past him. And I'm not worried about him at all at this point.
Yeah.
If you continue to see similar situations moving forward, then you can start to talk about it. But one game where he just made the wrong decision in the fourth quarter, it is what it is. It happens.
Yeah. And I'm noticing maybe he might be getting a little bit snippier. I initially saw it when they kept asking him about play calling. I think he's just kind of tired of that question, which I don't really understand why he's so like just not wanting to give it up when it comes to like who's calling plays. Like why can't you just say it? Like I like.
Well, and the issue I have is he's the one that opened the door.
Yeah, that's
at
true.
the combine. He's the one that said, "Yeah, we are going to look into potentially making a change." If he never said that, you're never having this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's just
it's
business
true.
as usual.
It's true. And then now he's surprised that people were asking a question. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
the Garf also said ETN had fumbleitis in 2022, but 0 in 23. Unlucky play. Yeah, that's kind of where we're getting. I know, honestly, you got to also give it to Holland. I mean, that was a good knockout by him. So is what it is. Good play. He's making money too. So with all that said, we're going to transition over, guys. We're going to go ahead and talk about this upcoming game. You guys know we have a game on Thursday or on Sunday, right?
I hope
Thursday night
not.
football. Thursday night football. No, Sunday.
Tomorrow.
Sunday we have a game. Sorry, I'm over here multitasking. So as you guys all know, these streams are powered by BetUS. So we're gonna get into some lines, but real quick, let's revisit last week our prediction. It's game week. The Jaguars are playing the Miami Dolphins. The Jaguars are 3.5-point underdogs in this game.
I would take the Jaguars in that. I'm taking the Jaguars straight up. That might be a little biased. I don't think taking the Jaguars against the spread is biased. And I will take the over on, 49?
If this game was like week 4 or on, I would hammer that over. But I think because it's week 1, I think you're going to see it be not as high scoring as a lot of people think. So I'm taking the under on the points, total points. I'm not taking the Jags outright. I would take that 3.5 though. That hook.
This stream is powered by BetUS. 125% deposit bonus. I think that the Jaguars do wind up losing in a shootout. I do have them to cover. I'll have them going over. We're going to put $20 on the Jaguars anyway to cover.
Hey,
So,
listen,
guys,
Covered.
listen. Listen. We all know who the gambler is here. I don't know why y'all aren't listening to the gambler on here. I don't know why you even thought about it, but that's okay if you didn't.
So to recap,
3 for 3.
So the recap, we all got the Jaguars against the spread, right? Okay. Jordan was the only one to take the Jaguars outright. He also, like me,
Should have been
took
right.
the Jaguars to go over. Should have been right, but it's not right. Okay. So unfortunately, Jordan went 1-2 in his picks. I went 2-1. And shout out to Jason. He goes 3-0. Shout out to him. So we all know who that guy is. Okay.
Doug just couldn't have me winning.
It was Doug's fault.
Hey,
No, that was great
Or
by
was it Press
you.
Taylor's fault?
I'm going to say Doug. That was great by you. Awesome picks.
hey, listen.
It could have gone a different way though. It kind of just goes to show you with those betting. Like that's why I'm not in on this stuff.
Listen. The old saying is Vegas wants you to quit. You always quit gambling right before you win big. All right. So don't give up. Just keep putting your money in.
Don't give up. You don't be a quitter.
Don't be a quitter.
All right.
Quit gambling, quit your job, quit your life. Don't be a quitter.
So we're going to take a look at this upcoming week. Okay. This upcoming week, the Jaguars are 3.5-point favorites in this game. The over-under is actually at 41.5. So that's the over-under. So I guess toward the end, we can get into really how we think this game is going to play out. By the way, guys, this stream is powered by BetUS. If any of these lines interest you, 150% deposit bonus. Go to betus.com and type in promo code YouTube150. So I want to go around. I guess, Jordan, can you just like give us a little bit of a preview of this game, kind of set the table? Because I know, they got kind of destroyed by the Browns last week. Deshaun Watson, is he washed? Is this the same playoff team? I mean, I don't know if you've kind of dug into it and kind of looked into what happened in that game, but is this a game where, like, are the Browns a good team, or do you think that they are not going to be good this upcoming season?
Great defense, really bad offense. Bottom line, their offense looked like it was in hell against the Cowboys defense. Deshaun Watson looked lost out there. It was pretty easy to figure out what they were going to try to do offensively from play to play. He wants to be in the gun. They like to run it from under center. So not super difficult to predict what's going on out there. And he just didn't look like he was seeing the field well. He didn't look like he was accurate with the football. One thing he can still do is absolutely escape pressure, evade pressure. He's still got the athleticism to get that done. But it doesn't look great for him. Obviously, no Nick Chubb, no David Njoku. offensive line, offensive tackle questions still. Are those guys going to be healthy? So you've got issues on offense, but that defense, goodness gracious. Myles Garrett is as good as they come. Like he absolutely is. Defensive MVP for a reason, or defensive player of the year, whatever they call it. And then Denzel Ward is still a great corner that is, if you're going to try to test him, you have to be on the money, no doubt about it. And there's just good pieces throughout. Zadarius Smith is still good. Grant Delpit's good. Juan Thornhill did just get put on IR, so they have a little bit of an issue there. But their nickel cornerback, who his name is escaping me right now for some reason. I loved him in the draft out of Northwestern. And then they also have Martin Emerson outside opposite Denzel Ward. Greg Newsome is the nickel. And they have good linebackers. It's sound. It's solid. They have a good front. Jim Schwartz, he likes to have his guys attacking. Defensive front is attacking all the time. And so they are very aggressive. And on third down, he's not afraid to run man coverage. He's not afraid to try to heat you up. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're looking at.
So what happened with them last week? I mean, they got routed by Dallas 33-17. I mean, do you see the Browns potentially making the playoffs again this year?
No, unless they make a change at quarterback, which they won't because they can't.
Yeah, they literally can't. So Jason, when you look at the Browns, how are you feeling about just the opponent? Do you think the Browns are a good team? Of course, we don't really know these teams until after like 4 weeks goes by. I know, a lot of people were a little bit intimidated by the Jaguars playing, all these 4 playoff teams, but the Browns isn't a team that's consistently going to the playoffs, and they got killed in the playoff game against the Texans. So how, I guess, optimistic are you about playing the Browns this Sunday at home?
It's hard for me to make an evaluation on the Browns because we know so little about them. Like, even in the game last week, they kind of showed a different offense than they showed last year because they tried to kind of center it this last week around Deshaun Watson, and he didn't play well. But I'm not going to say Deshaun Watson's like great by any means, but I think he'll get better as the weeks go on. And I think when he builds a little bit of camaraderie with his receivers, he's still got Cooper, he's still got Judy. Eventually he'll get Njoku back. I think he'll be better than what he showed last week. And just like we're all sitting here being like, oh, we're better than we were week 1, the Browns are all saying the same thing. So
you're actually not.
Well,
Browns fans wish they could ditch Watson in the worst possible way.
Yeah, I was perusing their subreddit, and there's still a little optimism there. There's still a little optimism as far as like, and honestly, I'll be honest with you. I think Jerome Ford's a hell of a back, and I think he's a good back. I'm not saying Jerome Ford's going to kill the Jags, but like I'm not saying he's not going to kill the Jags. Like I think this Jags defense being revamped and the way they play will be able to contain him. He didn't necessarily like kill us when we played him at the end of the year last year when Chubb was out either. But I think Ford's still a really good back. And kind of like I put the X factor on A-Chain last week, I think the X factor this week's Jerome Ford. And I think we have to stop him. I think he's going to be like, if we stop him, we win. And and I know this is kind of riding the fence here, but if our D-line and linebackers can stop their run game, I think we win easily. I think if we can't, we get into a time of possession type game. That, I guess we're not getting into our predictions yet, but that line at 41, like, sounds about right to me. Vegas knows what they're doing. So, I think that for me, it's going to be stopping Jerome Ford. I think they're going to try to take a little bit of pressure off Watson this week. Establish the run, establish play action. So for our defense, going to be reading your keys, getting your run pass read quick early in the play, reading the play action and drop into your zone or make sure your man doesn't release off a block quick. And so this game's hard for me to predict, but I think all of us, when we looked at the schedule, we kind of penciled this one in as like Jags. This is our best chance of winning these early games. So I think the Jags do end up winning. But it's hard for me to predict how it's going to look because we've seen such a small sample size from both teams.
Yeah. So Yeah, I guess with this one, I know the thing that just concerns me every week, I think until we prove that we are good at it, is just the Jaguars' offensive line versus pretty much whoever. And especially when you have a defensive line like the Browns have, you have Myles Garrett who just dominates games, and our offensive tackles be able to hold them down, no matter where he plays. And it definitely worries me, and I want to be able to, give Trevor Lawrence enough time. But I think we can combat that with a balanced attack, with continuing to, do things like pass the ball in the middle of the field, try to get the play action going. Like I really like the way the Jaguars were calling plays in the first like 2.5 quarters of that game, and then so we had to keep that going. We can't play one dimensional because the Jaguars offense just isn't built to go one dimensional. Okay. Unless you're playing, the Carolina Panthers or something, we're not going to be able to beat any teams by doing that. So when I look at this game, I'll give my first prediction first. I will say that the Jaguars do win, and I think that the Jaguars will cover as well. So they're gonna cover the 3-point spread, and they are going to win outright. But will they go over under? I have the under on 41.5. I think the Jaguars win this one 20-10. So next up, we'll go with Jordan. Okay, because I don't want anybody cheating off of Jason. Because
Thank
Jason,
you.
Jason
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say it.
Jason has the script, so we're gonna move on to Jordan. So we can all just kind of learn from Jason at the end.
I'm cheating off you. I'm 100% with you. I think the Jaguars cover. I think they win. I think it's under 41.
All right.
I just don't see the Browns putting up that many points. The Browns only scored 17 points last week because they were getting blown out, and the Cowboys defense let up at times because that's what happens when you're up by that much. You have some drives where you kind of just let up and you're not playing as hard because you're blowing the other team out. They had no business scoring 17 points last week.
All right. So
what's
Jason,
the over under is 41.5, correct?
41.5 is the over under.
And what's the spread on the game?
The spread is my thing.
Jags.
It's
is it
3.
Jags?
It's 3 point. Jags -3.
Okay. Jags win 21-20. The under by a hook, and they don't cover the spread.
Ooh.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and unfortunately, I just got logged out through the inactivity, but we're gonna go in here. We're gonna go in here. Yeah, we're gonna go in here, and we're gonna put 20 on that. Look, we haven't. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I don't know if you guys are monitoring the activities on these streams, but we've never lost a bet we put down in here. So let's go ahead and change this.
Didn't you put 20 on the Jags hitting the over?
No, we only did the cover.
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna put any money on over unders. I don't think it's as fun, and we want to. I know it's for people like you, Jason, but not everybody. Not everybody is out here, betting on the debate last night like you are.
So what are we doing here?
So I mean, all of us have the Jaguars covering, right?
Yeah.
No.
What did you say, Jason?
I said Jags win by 1 point, don't cover.
Well, you are outmatched 2-1. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair.
The underdogs coming in, so we're gonna put 20 on it. Okay, 20. We say 20. It's easy. It's just like that. And if you guys want to do that too, put any money on this. Like I said, BetUS is a 150% deposit bonus for you. Just use YouTube 150 as your promo code. They have 24/7 customer support, quick 24-hour payouts, and even 10% gamblers insurance. If you guys aren't putting down bets like you guys are here in Club Jaguar and you guys are losing, they're gonna get you guys back a little bit of that. So shout out to them. And so next up, I want to talk about a couple of things going on with the Jaguars. First of all, Tyson Campbell, unfortunately, sustained a hamstring injury. I mean, there's no good way to put this. A hamstring injury is just never a good injury. It's not usually season long, but it's usually a situation where like you don't know when it's better. It's not like a broken bone where it's healed up, you're ready to go. Hamstrings, you're like, okay, I'm feeling good, I'm stretching like crazy, and then you go back into a game and you pull it. And historically, what it seems like Doug Peterson on the Jaguars is he kind of forces these guys back in a little bit too early. And, when Tyson Campbell got hurt last year, he came back and he wasn't the same player. And we kind of saw that all over the field for the Jaguars. So, with this injury, I know kind of Jordan alluded to it a little bit earlier about how he's feeling about it. But when you, Jordan, how concerned are you about a Tyson Campbell injury? And do the Jaguars try to potentially make a move to bring in a quarterback to fill in his spot for now?
Well, they already did.
I don't. Yeah.
And didn't they bring in a corner already?
Zach McPherson to the practice squad. Have no fear.
Well, they're probably going to promote. What's his name? They're probably going to promote
Braswell.
Yeah, or I was thinking of the other dude.
Trey Flowers.
Yeah, Zay Flowers. That's what I was thinking.
Trey Flowers. Trey. Let's put some
Zay
respect
Jones, Trey Flowers, love child.
Yeah, something like that. But
so yeah, I mean, it's concerning, but I don't think it's a major concern this week necessarily.
Yeah.
You do have Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore, but I'm not worried about the guy trying to get them the ball. And I mean, Buster Brown has experience. I do think his skill set is more ready-made for being able to play physical and kind of limit space early on in the route versus kind of just trying to fly down the field with these guys. So I think he'll be all right this week. I think you might get a little bit more Jari and Jones playing outside here and there, seeing if he can do that a little bit more for them. But I think it's going to be mostly Buster here against the Browns.
Interesting. Yeah, and they liked Buster last year. Buster was the guy that went in for a Tyson Campbell got hurt last year, and I know a lot of people like Christian Braswell in the preseason, but the coaching staff, I mean, they seem to like Buster Brown, and even new defense coordinator Ryan Nielsen kind of chose him over a Christian Braswell. So it's interesting. Jason, when you look at this injury, like how long do you think he's out for? Do you think it's going to be half the season?
Don't ask me that. You know what you should ask me? This is what you should ask me. You should ask me, Jason, when you said on this show a couple shows ago that you were concerned about extending Tyson Campbell because of his injury history. And I said, I wanted to see him stay healthy for a full year before I gave him that kind of money. What you should be asking me is, how do you feel about that prediction now? Because I feel like maybe that's what we should have done.
Well, he stayed healthy for a half. Does that count?
A half of a game. You're right. He did. I didn't think about that. He did. I like Tyson Campbell. I think it's a good corner. And I'm wrong about a ton of stuff. I thought Darnell Savage would be a terrible corner defensive back. Because we look at the stats, I thought he'd be bad. He showed me week 1 that he can cover. So I was wrong about that. I will say I might have been right about maybe holding off on the Tyson Campbell extension until we saw him show us that he can stay healthy. Now, again, great corner, but the best ability is availability. And like you alluded to, Dalton, early when you introduced this segment, hamstring injuries are not like, oh, it'll be fine in a couple weeks. These things linger. These things linger all season long. Even if you give it adequate time to recover, you still at any moment could just pop that hamstring back again. So now we're in a position where let's just say he's, God willing, he's not. He's hampered by this hamstring all season. How many years now out of his total years in the NFL has he been injured? Is this 3 out of 4? 3 out of 4 he's been injured?
It's his 5th year, so I think at least 3 years he's been injured,
at least 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
And we've made him one of the top paid corners in the league.
Yeah.
Corner's a
it's
tough
his 4th
position.
year.
4th year, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
He missed time during his
rookie.
rookie year. I think 2022, he was pretty healthy the whole year.
Right.
Last year, he missed time, and then now he's missing time.
Yeah.
So corner is a tough position. Like corner, there's a lot of volatility in the corner position between being a top corner and being a thrown away corner. You got to be careful of that corner position. I'm always weary of paying corners. I always am. Like if they deserve it, pay them. And Tyson Campbell, when healthy, has deserved it. But now we're looking at a guy who is on the precipice of being a guy who can't stay healthy. And I don't know if that concerns you guys, but it concerns me.
It's concerning.
I think it's concern. I don't think it's like this was a bad contract. The contract doesn't even start till next year. So for me, it is a concern, but I'm certainly not willing to kind of say Tyson Campbell's not worth the money yet.
Yeah, and I didn't I remember when Jason was kind of saying that, previously, I wasn't super worried because I just thought that, a couple fluke little injuries, it's fine. But this is the second year in a row he's dealt with soft tissue stuff. I mean, at some point, is this just the guy that he is? He's just a guy that, has a lot of soft tissue injuries. And man, that's an annoying thing to have on a team because, does he have can he last a full NFL season? Can he last 17 games plus playoff games? Can he last when the NFL inevitably goes to 18 games? Can he last 18 games plus playoff games? I don't know. It's concerning. And, I don't know what Tyson Campbell has to do differently to make sure, when he goes into these different years that is okay. But it is officially concerning. I'll say that. I'm a little bit concerned about it. So we'll see how that goes moving forward.
The good news is Jarian Jones looks good.
Yeah. And is he gonna
that is good news.
So is there a situation where Jarian Jones kind of pushes to the outside and I guess how does this defensive backfield look? Because I know, Ronald Darby's an outside guy, Savage is the inside guy. Is Jarian Jones kind of play outside now instead of Monteric Brown?
Well, Jordan, you can speak to that. You watched him all camp. I mean, I know in college he was a slot guy. Did he get any reps there in training camp and anything like that?
Yeah, the Jaguars have consistently talked about his versatility to play inside or outside. He did play primarily last year in the slot. He played outside before that. He played some outside last year still. I think their plan is going to be Buster with Jarian Jones getting more reps, a little bit more reps on the outside and kind of just he's still going to be more interior, more in the nickel. But I think maybe they just kind of try to see, can we get him some matchups that we about outside? And if it works out, maybe we continue to kind of push a little bit more for him playing out more outside. But I think they really like his role as a nickel as well. And I think it's vital in this defense. You got so many moving parts. And that's one thing you saw consistently in week one. That's not surprising. Everybody was playing everywhere. They were really moving around quite a bit.
I mean, they played more dime coverage with 3 safeties and 3 nickels in the Miami game than they did all of last season.
Yeah.
So they are going to get these guys on the field. Will Tyson Campbell's injury change that? But Nielsen likes this big safety dime package, which I like. I like it. So we'll just see how Tyson Campbell's injury affects it with Monteric Brown in.
No, it's a lot of fun. And I know it feels like Nielsen has a really good pulse of just how to call an NFL defense. And, the touchdowns that were against the Jaguars came off of pretty much busted plays for the most part. And then obviously in the fourth quarter when they were completely gassed because the offense, you see this all around the NFL. If a team's controlling the time of possession, in the fourth quarter, especially in a hot game, it never really works out too well. So one thing I want to talk about, kind of the final point is, what about this, this Tank Bigsby guy? I mean, he had himself a really, really good game. And, if you were to take away the numbers and take away whatever reputation out there, I mean, you would have definitely thought that, Tank Bigsby is the better running back. And, he actually finished with the same amount of carries as Travis Etienne, but he outgained them by, 29 yards. So, and obviously he didn't have the crazy fumble that Etienne had. And, he just looks like, maybe he's a better in between the tackles kind of guy. So, Jason, when you look at this, do you see Tank Bigsby starting to potentially get more carries than Travis Etienne, and maybe Travis Etienne takes on a different role, maybe like a third down type of situation? How do you foresee this happening?
I mean, again, I talked earlier about I'm wrong all the time. I wasn't big on Tank Bigsby coming into the season because he didn't show me he could hold on to the ball. And that was my big sticking point for him because in my head, he was between the tackles, get you 3 to 4 yards when you needed it. But what he showed us last game is he had 2 massive carries, one in the first half, one in the second half, coming out of their own end zone, on the 2-yard line and the 3-yard line, where one was a counter play, one was an outside zone play, where he initially hit the line of scrimmage gap and then jump cut or got to the outside and beat a defender to the sideline. Never saw him do that once last year. And I don't even think I saw him do that in college, to be honest. But he did that and he got to the sideline and he had 2 explosive plays of over 20 yards rushing out of the end zone. I don't necessarily think he takes carries away from Etienne. quite yet because I think Etienne's still your guy. Tank Bigsby looked a lot. He looked like a much better running back as far as fresh legs, explosiveness, and speed than Etienne did. But I think you're not going to see the overtaking of carries quite yet. But if we see these games happen over and over again, where Bigsby is outperforming Etienne, the running back's a cruel market. And you get replaced by younger guys on the drop of a hat. So it wouldn't surprise me to see it. But I am excited about Tank Bigsby. I don't know why I didn't bring it up. He might have been my most impressive player from week 1.
So how do you feel about it, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I love Tank Bigsby. I've always been on board the tank, right? And he did do that plenty in college, in my opinion. He's a creative runner. He can run with power. He's explosive. He ran sub 4.5 at his pro day, 4.4 something. Like, he's a good back as long as he's taking care of the football and making the right decisions. But Travis Etienne's a great back in his own right. He didn't have a very good game. Even outside of that fumble, he didn't have a very good game by his standards. But Doug Peterson made it very clear he's still their guy. And I think it would take a lot for that to change, especially because they picked up his 5th-year option. I mean, it's not like they're moving on after this season. And they're going to be paying him next year. So I think that Etienne's a good back, and it's not going to be a concern. It's going to be one of those things where you're going to be able to look at it and say it's a really nice 1-2 punch.
No, it is. And I know Etienne did have a bad game. I was even concerned even before the fumble. I'm like, he just seemed to be missing holes a lot. And like there were times where it was like, okay, you've picked up the first down, but man, if he would have made this cut, he would have got a lot more yardage. And yeah, Tank Bigsby had a really good feel for the game. And I remember, Tony Baselli on 1010XL kind of mentioned, like, he thinks that Tank Bigsby is the better in between the tackles type of runner than Etienne. And, Dan and Jeff kind of thought he was a little bit crazy, but
no, he is. I agree with that.
Yeah. And
you want Etienne outside the tackles, you want Bigsby doing inside the tackle work if you can, but obviously you don't want to get predictable.
So. Yeah, we don't want predictable. Do not get predictable. That's all we ask.
The Jags?
No, never. Especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
With Doug / press calling plays, whoever it is.
Not us.
But yeah. But by the way, guys, for the first time, we have over 1,000 viewers eclipsed here. We have 820 on Twitter and 170 on the YouTube. So shout out to all you guys for watching, guys. Look, guys, we're live every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. right here on YouTube and, of course, on Twitter as well. It's out there, as you guys can tell. It's a lot of fun, man. This is Club Jaguar. Thank you guys for being here. A couple super chats before we end off. These came a long time ago. Tekken said, remember Doug wanted Manuel and Balky wanted Nielsen. I think that was a little bit of a I don't know if that rumor was true. There was a rumor that Balky wanted Nielsen and Doug wanted somebody else. I don't know how true that was, but I think it kind of got debunked a little bit. The Garf said Jag should handle the Browns fine. Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. So we'll see. But all right, guys. This is Club Jaguar. We're closing out now. We'll go ahead and get the last statements. Jordan, what do you have coming up on Gen Jag for all the Jaguar fans up in here?
Well, tomorrow's Thursday, so game preview. We're going to have, matchups to watch, keys to victory, bold predictions, all the good stuff leading up to Jaguars-Browns regular season home opener for the Jaguars. Is it a must-win game? I wouldn't say that, but you definitely want to get this one. You want to get to 1-1 before you go over to face the Houston Texans in week 3.
Absolutely. What about you, Jason? What's coming up on Jaguars United?
Tuesdays.
Buffalo Bills in week 3. Excuse me. Sorry.
Thanks for cutting me off, Jordan. I get it. You're trying to take away from my viewers. I get it, Jordan. That's fine. I'm just kidding. Tuesdays and Fridays.
Well, before Jason, sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
Tuesdays and Fridays live shows. We're going to be breaking down. We're going to just basically take clips from the Browns week 1 and look at what worked, what didn't work, what the Jags will have to do to win, what they will have to stop. What if they don't do, they won't win, those types of things. So we'll have all the film. We'll be breaking it down Friday nights. The live shows, they go off the rails so quickly. And I wish it was better, but it's fun. So it is fun. I will say.
Yeah, I
It
think that's
is
why you
fun.
bring. I think that's why you bring Travis in there to kind of keep you locked in a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got off on a little presidential debate topics too. So again, you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, truly never know. And yeah, I don't know what's coming up over here. I'm just gonna keep making videos and trying to stay relevant out here in the YouTube streets with with Jordan and Jason out here grinding. Okay, I'm just out here trying to put up a good production on Wednesday nights here on Club Jaguar. But with all that said, thank you guys for being here. Happy to have you guys, and of course, follow Jordan and Jason on Twitter at Jordan Delugo and at Jaguars_United. You can follow me at UCF_Jaguar. Support us on all of our different platforms if you guys appreciate the show. Tell a friend. Look, if all you guys tell one person about the stream, we're going to have 2,000 people here next week. So,
Let's do it.
so I'm looking at you guys, okay? Make Club Jaguar great again while we speak about politics. but all right, guys, thanks for being here. Please drop a like on your way out. Also, thank you to BetUS for powering this stream, as well as all the other Club Jaguars. Thank you guys so much for being here, and go Jags.